and welcome back to TNN's coverage of the world's 9 best fantasy football players league. I'm your host, and this is what we have for you this week. It's now week 14 and the last week of the regular season as teams are jockeying for playoff position. Miguel has prepared a statistical analysis detailing what teams need to do to make the playoffs, so be on the lookout. And now, here is Danny Football with his picks for week 14. Hey, what's up, guys? World's 9 best fantasy football players expert, Danny Football here, back with another week of expert predictions. Last week, pretty good for me, going 5-1 and bringing my total on the year up to a very nice 48-18. My guest, Joe, unfortunately did not have such a great week, going 3-3, being unable to beat the expert. But now, it's a new week, there's a new guest, and a new chance to beat the expert. So guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Timmy Shea here, owner and mastermind of the Judah Noodles. Great to be on the show.
Yeah, Timmy, great to have you here. First guest in the new studio. More laid-back vibe, so very interested to see how this goes. Last week before the playoffs, lots of fun. I started to make some good picks with you, and who knows? The playoffs are only 1 week away, so maybe we'll see you back here very soon.
Well, let's hope so. Might not be playing in them, but we'd love to be back on the show.
First up, we have Jesus Christ. It's Jay Sanborn taking on Worthy of Love. Jay Sanborn currently favored at 65%. This is one. Look, I've been saying it a lot this season. First matchup for a reason. Two teams that are just, I mean, to be frank, they suck. These are two teams that will be competing for the first and the second overall picks in next year's draft. Not great showings from either of them. Not a lot of promise for either of these teams. I really don't want to spend too much time on this matchup because it doesn't really matter. I think Nooch and Jay Sanborn are essentially locked in to that first overall pick unless something absolutely insane happens this week. With that being said, though, I do like, as strange as it sounds, I like the talent of the Jay Sanborn team right now and for the future more than Worthy of Love. So I'm going to go and pick Jay Sanborn to get the win here, but also lock up the first overall pick in the draft.
I think that's a good pick, Danny Football. I think I agree with you. I like the talent on the roster of Jay Sanborn better than Worthy of Love. Mm-hmm. And I think it's been a deft rebuilding job by Nooch, both accumulating talent while somehow being terrible. So yeah, got to applaud him there.
Well, some people say that Nooch's draft picks have not really panned out much, aside from Malik Neighbors, of course. But like Blake Corum, A.D. Mitchell, kind of rough shape. I mean, I know Blake Corum did get a 32% snap share this week, so things are looking up, but I don't know. I as the expert, I'm not sold on some of his later draft picks. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but you got to wonder if, Nooch is rooting against proud Notre Dame alum Kyron Williams and just hoping for an injury, because that would be pretty messed up.
Dual loyalties, some may say.
Yeah, so be careful what you're wishing for, Nooch. But I'm gonna go with Tom here in the end. I think his team's gonna play with some pride. It's been a rough year for them. I think they're gonna hear what we're saying on the show, maybe light a fire under them, get the locker room fired up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Tom here in this matchup.
Good pick.
Before we move on, though, I just want to call out that I definitely won the division draft. I know I took some heat for it at the time, but what can I say? I know ball.
Expert drafting. Yeah. I mean, we all would have known that Visconti's team was going to suck. Tom and Nooch falling apart completely. Did not see it.
Especially Nooch. Nooch was one of the contenders early on, and I saw the cliff coming, and he's rebuilt quickly, but not quick enough to win our division.
Nooch is quick on the trigger with the rebuild. I'll say the man, when he makes up his mind, he's going all in on the rebuild. Next up, we have the Mental Brick Walls taking on Team Big Chungus 22. Brick Walls favored this one at 63%. Timmy, who do you like in this matchup?
In this matchup, I think I'm going to go with the Brick Walls. I think they're
Okay.
one of the best teams in the league. I like their chances going into the playoffs, except for the most important position on a football field, a quarterback. I'm very, very, very sorry about Trevor Lawrence. We will be looking into trading Azeez Al-Shaair to undefeated, never lost immediately.
Yeah.
I've already put offers out there. Haven't gotten many responses from their loud DC over there. But, I mean, you got to be prepared for injuries in
That's
this
true.
violent game.
That's
It doesn't
true.
look like Brett prepared at all. So, best of luck to Cooper Rush or Drew Lock. If you ask me to pick one, I think I would just leave the QB slot empty.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good chance one of them
Could
gets
go
negative
negative.
points. So you got to be careful there. But I think overall, Brett's got a solid team. Will's having some trouble at wide receiver, so I like the Brick Walls here.
Yeah, I think that's a very astute pick here. Straight to the point. One of these teams is good, the other is not. And the team that is not, unfortunately, is Team Big Chungus 22. I did like the move they made to trade away some of their older, aging assets, but with that being said, I still don't know how well this team is going to be able to rebuild, really rebound next year. They have some picks, but as we've seen in this league, first round picks can be busts. So, fingers crossed as for all of the Chungai fans out there, hopefully team owner Will DeTremp will figure things out and turn it around. Keep the vultures away, trying to take over his team. As you mentioned, the quarterback position, Will has a pretty solid quarterback room. I am shocked that the Brick Walls did not come his way trying to get CJ Stroud or Jalen Hurts or really even Matt Stafford. Anyone would be better than who they have on their roster right now. I'm very worried for this team come the playoffs. They have the first round bye, which is going to be huge. Because we all know anything can happen in the playoffs. Anyone can get in. Anyone can make it to the championship game before they ultimately lose to the SWAT team. But with that being said, I like the Brick Walls to still get it done this week. I don't know how much I like them moving forward, but going up against a very depleted, already bad Team Big Chungus 22, I'm going to go with the Brick Walls to come out on top in this one.
Sorry, Will. I know you're not watching, but I'm sorry.
Will's watching. Next up, we have the SWAT team taking on undefeated, never lost. SWAT favored this one at 74%. This one, not too much to say about. Both these teams are locked into the playoffs, which is very exciting for undefeated, never lost. Congratulations to them and their entire ownership team making the playoffs for the first time in league history, leaving only Team Big Chungus 22 as the sole franchise to have never made the playoffs in the league. Undefeated Never Lost has actually been looking up this year. The team, they're still sitting there at 8-5 with their two big names in Ayuk and Olave out on IR. So we'll see how the team actually looks as they approach the playoffs, going up against some of the actual good teams in this league. Will they be able to continue their streak of getting all these fraudulent wins? Unlikely, and I think we're going to see some of that this week going up against the SWAT team. This is a team that's been looking very solid down the stretch here. They had the highest points scored in the league last week, and they've got a lot of those guys that just, they're going to go out there, they're going to put up 10, 12 points. Very hard to beat team, very solid defense, very solid offense, and I think they've got enough. The defending champs, if they misstep against undefeated never lost, there's going to be a lot of questions going into their bye week next week. I think they're going to come out with a nice statement performance and get the win in this one.
I think that's a fair pick, and I agree with your analysis of UNL. Those injuries are tough to their wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Made a big trade for Kamara and Tyreek. I think those were smart going to the playoffs, and you got to give it to owner Roberto Kraft.
Yeah. Roberto.
He saw his team had a chance, and they decided to go for it.
Yeah.
It's what you want out of your owner. So
I mean, if it was up to Miguel, the team would just continue tanking for forever. So someone's got to be there to give him the little push.
yeah, I'm glad Danny and Nick finally stepped in,
Mm-hmm.
said it's time to win.
Yeah.
Their fans were dwindling. Hopefully this will get them some fans back. But I think in this matchup, I'm going to go with UNL.
Really?
Mostly because I'm tired of the SWAT team. And their defense will probably put up 150 points and cruise to a win. But I don't think I've ever picked UNL before out of spite. But had some nice conversations with Danny Stortz recently. He's a good guy. Roberto Kraft as well. Miguel's been more palpable lately.
Yeah.
So I'll ride the UNL train. We'll see how it goes. Would love to see a SWAT team loss.
Yeah, I mean, there's first time for everything with UNL. First time in the playoffs, first time being picked.
This could be the year.
It could be.
It could be the year.
Could be their
Honestly,
year.
anyone but SWAT team, I would love. So
Next up, we have Blood, Sweat, and Beers taking on the Texarkana Bandits. Bandits favored in this one at 60%. Timmy, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think it's a good one. Same record, division rivals. I think it'll be a fun one. I don't think it'll be a blowout either way. I think Jacob's team has surprised a lot of people this year. I think people thought he was going to be a bit of a bottom dweller, but helps when Jamar Chase can just go nuclear any week.
Yeah.
So
Marvin
Jacob's
Harrison's
team,
been very solid.
that as well. Nice to build around two young wideouts, something that Texarkana Bandits knew early on and capitalized on. I think overall I like the Texarkana Bandits this week. Add me to the train just for 1 week, but it'd be fun to be on.
I think you're on the train.
Am I still?
I think so.
All right, then keep me on. I would love to be taken off eventually, though.
Yeah.
I'm a competitor at the end of the day.
Of course.
But I like the Bandits here. I think just top to bottom, team stronger. But I think it'll be a good matchup.
Yeah.
Nice way to end the season.
I agree. This is a very good matchup here. Both of these teams still technically in playoff contention, although maybe not in reality. Blood, Sweat, and Beers, they would need like an absolute miracle, like score 300 points this week. So I think they're out of it. The Bandits has been just boggling my mind all season with this team. They're 6-2 and have now lost the last 5 in a row to find themselves outside of the playoffs and also needing help to get into the playoffs. So I don't know where this team is looking right now. It's not even like the team is bad. Like if they miss the playoffs and there were bad teams, like, maybe trade some guys away, like blow it up a little bit, retool, try to figure it out for next year. But like the pieces are there for this Bandits team, and I don't know how they've had this terrible luck all year, really, where they just lose and lose and lose. And as much as my heart has been on the Bandits for years, look, fans of the show will know that I'm high on the Bandits. That is never in doubt. But with that being said, like, it is hard to pick this team right now, just with this huge losing streak and momentum really not being in their favor. For Blood, Sweat, and Beers, though, this team, talent-wise, is clearly just not up to the level of the true contenders in this league, which I would, on most days, still consider to be the Bandits. We'll see if they can actually get into the big dance, but I am going to give a slight edge to the Bandits in this one. I know this is a very risky pick, picking against the 5 consecutive losses, but I think the Bandits right the ship there. Whether it's enough to actually get into the playoffs, I think is still TBD. Something I have my eye on this week, but I am going to give them the edge over Blood, Sweat, and Beers in this one.
Have me there for a second. Like you're jumping off the train.
I would never. Look, I would never, okay? As the expert, I just got to call balls and strikes. The Bandits have not been looking good lately, so...
It's been rough. I wonder what's going on with coaching and ownership.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lack of leadership in the locker room.
Well, I would never say that, but...
I would.
I think the players will step up. Trayvon will be there. He's angry after Trevor Lawrence went down like that, so he's fired up. He knows what he needs to do, and I think he's going to come in big this week. You heard it here first. Big week from Trayvon Walker.
Okay. Sure.
All right, next up we have Team M Vanek taking on Too Many Conks. Team M Vanek favored in this one at 58%. This one has huge potential playoff implications for the Conks in particular. Team M Vanek, they're locked in already. This is one that's purely about getting that win over the divisional rival. Always means more at the end of the season, and I think a lot of teams would be very happy if Team M Vanek picked up the win here and was somehow able to keep the Conks out of the playoffs, because they have been a team that's been very hot down the stretch, and Team M Vanek has the talent on their team to make that happen. There's someone I think is going to be right in the thick of it come the playoffs. I expect them to, at the very least, be in that semifinals, maybe in the championship again. So we'll see what they're looking like. I think this is going to be a big prove-it week for them. For the Conks, I think they have possibly one of the worst end-of-season stretches right here. They were on the show recently talking about their five-headed running back room, which J.K. Dobbins is now on IR. Joe Mixon is on a bye this week. And one of their top wide receivers, Zay Flowers, also on a bye. So this team is looking very, very rough when it comes to some of their offensive players this week. I think it's going to be really tough for them to come out and get a win. They kind of teetered off last week from some of the big performances they had been used to putting up over the last couple weeks. So I think it's going to be very hard for this team to bounce back. Team M Vanek is a tough team, and I'm going to give the edge to Team M Vanek in this one.
I think that's a good pick, Danny Football. I think I'm going to side with you here. I like Team Vanek a little bit better than the Conks. I think they're just playing better right now, and I think they got a lot of talent up and down. And I appreciate the turnaround that Mike Vanek led for this team. I thought at least, it's going to be a long, multi-year rebuild, clear first pick in that division draft, but he turned it around quick, drafted well, showed you anything's possible. So applaud Mike Vanek on there. On Joe's team, I like that he has an identity.
He does.
Builds through the trenches. That man cannot get his hands on enough D linemen, and I respect that. His team is built on running the ball with his five-headed monster, four-headed monster, and committed to stopping the run with his D line. So I like that team has an identity. I think they're a strong team. Like you said, not finishing off the season great. I think Team M Vanek is going to take this one, but not many teams in this league could say they have a real identity, and I like that in a team.
It's true. It really builds locker room character.
Yeah.
Team cohesion.
Definitely.
Will they be in the playoffs? We'll see.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
Oh.
Finally, in our marquee matchup of the week, we have Ham and Throw taking on the Judon Noodles. Ham and Throw favored in this one at 53%. This one is the marquee matchup for a very clear reason, and that is the fact that this is a win and in game for both of these teams. Currently sitting there tied atop the, some may say, putrid Pac-4 division. And look, neither of these teams are going to be able to compete with some of the other playoff contenders when it comes to points for. So the loser of this game will almost certainly be out of it. The winner, somehow, because of the rigged league rules, will be in as the division winner. And I think the teams that are in the playoffs are going to be very happy to see either of these teams there. Whatever team, whether the SWAT team or the Brick Walls, will be very happy to have them on their side of the brackets. I know whichever team is facing them in the first round will be very happy to see them. So with that being said, though, this is still a very important matchup. It does determine one of the last playoff spots, one of the only ones that is still up in the air. And these are two teams that I have not loved this year. It pains me greatly that these are the two teams sitting here, week 14, and one of them is going to be in the playoffs. I have said terrible, terrible things about Ham and Throw for years now. And I've been very low on the Judon Noodles since the preseason this year. Talking about how they are a fraudulent team, no one good is on their team, And I've been right all year. This team has put up like 300 points less than all the other playoff contenders, and somehow they're still here. They have the 2 top Jets wide receivers on their team.
JETS, baby.
Things are not looking good for the Judon Noodles. I think if they do not come up with a couple good moves in the offseason, this may be their last year in true contention, if you can even call it that this year. This is maybe a team that is about to fall from grace, maybe missing out on the playoffs here, and it could be a very long string of seasons missing out on the playoffs. For Hammond Throw, this is a team I've hated all year. Jaden Daniels is on a bye, and they're starting Russell Wilson at quarterback. They also have the Steelers running backs
Both of
in
them.
their roster.
Both of them.
There's not great talent on this team. The fact that they are here right now upsets me greatly as not only an expert, but as a fan of this league. Personally, I would love to see the Conks and the Bandits and, maybe even throw Blood, Sweat, and Beers in there. They've
Sure.
had a good season. I
Sure.
think they'd be a fun playoff team, but we can't all get what we want. One of these two teams has to win, has to be in the playoffs, and unfortunately, I have to pick one of them this week. So I'm going to swallow my pride, and I'm going to pick Hammond Throw to pull out the win the Pac-4 division, get into the playoffs, and immediately get bounced from the playoffs. But they are going to win this week, so congratulations, Hammond Throw.
Thank you, Danny Football, for that long-winded, not at all insulting analysis.
I just call balls and strikes. I'm an expert. I'm not biased. I call it how I see it.
There you go. I was getting tired of the balls and strikes reference. Wow. Well, I too hate Hammond Throw. I agree. Not a lot of talent in that locker room or in the owner's box.
Yeah.
It's a little rough over there.
Some are saying that team owner Mike Visconti has not really had his eye on the NFL this year. Doesn't really care much about the NFL.
This Nudes team has fought all year. We don't win pretty. We don't really win with offense. We don't really win with defense.
Yeah.
But we win almost half the time.
Yeah.
And I
Slightly
think,
more than half right now.
And more than half, sure.
Yeah.
And I think that trend continues. I don't think we're mediocre. You could argue we're worse than mediocre, but I think we're above mediocre. And I think we're gonna win this week. The boys have been in this position before. We've had a lot of kind of late season matchups to determine our playoff berth. And I like that
you usually lose.
I wouldn't say usually. I'd say we've had our fair share of wins and losses.
This franchise is known for choking.
I
would like to
say
point
that.
out.
I don't think
franchise
there's
is known for
evidence.
choking.
I don't think there's evidence
I
for
think
that.
there's evidence.
I don't think there's evidence for that.
Team always starts out hot and then just kind of nosedives.
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is.
I want to consult the data on that one.
Well, the statisticians at TNN are busy this week, but you take my word for it. For all the fans at home, take my word for it. The Noodles choke.
We have overcome a lot of adversity this year. It's tough to see Christian McCaffrey be out, then go to Germany for a mystery treatment,
Yeah.
then come back, then play and not look very good,
Yeah.
then kind of look good, and then get hurt again in a snow game that I kind of wish he just didn't play in to begin with.
No.
And you would think, that's fine. Jordan Mason on the
he's right
roster, pretty efficient, got a good yards per carry. I don't know how they were running or how they warmed up for that snow game because I don't think any Bills got injured, but Jordan Mason also hurt.
Yep.
Didn't
IR.
think to handcuff my handcuff. That's on me. I'll take the blame for that.
Some are
Can't blame
saying
Lockwood
Isaac
for that.
Garendo was the steal of the rookie draft.
Sure, yeah, I bet they are. But Nudes have been here before. We're experienced. We're hungry. We'd love to make the playoffs. And I think this is just a classic, as we've seen in so many stories throughout history, of good versus evil. And I think
that I will agree with.
Clear evil here is Hammond Throw. So if you guys want to hop on the nudes wagon, there's room. Trust me, plenty of room to come on board. We'll have you. It'll be a good matchup, but at the end of the day, good prevails. So, should be a good one. I hope we make the playoffs.
A good one may be a stretch, but an important one. That it certainly is. Well, Timmy, it's been great having you here. First guest in the new studio. I'm wishing you all the best of luck with your picks. Of course, not as good as me. Can't beat the expert, but big week for you this week, and I know a lot of teams will be behind you, so good luck out there.
I appreciate it, Danny Football. Glad to be here. Happy to be in this wonderful new studio, and
hanging out on the couch. This could be you.
Look at this. I can get comfortable over here. Here my leg crossed, chilling, leaning back. But great to be here. Always nice to be on. Thanks for making the time. I'll see you hopefully in the playoffs.
And thank you, Danny Football and guest Timmy, for those great picks. That's all we have for you this time. Be sure to tune in next week to see how things shook out. I'm your host, and this has been TNN.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell.
I texted Joe a picture of you guys, and he was like, "Why doesn't Tooch move closer?"
Move closer.
Yeah, he was like, "Why are they sitting with like Jesus apart?" And I was like,
"It's a talk show."
That's what I said, and he was like, "You could scoot a little closer," and I was like, "It was fine."
I'll scoot closer for Joe.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah.
There needs to still be space so people know you're not gay. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm okay